Gotta love that lion growl. Hello, happy Friday. Coming at you live here at Inside Production Studios in Phoenix, Arizona. My name is Robert Morales from Our CEO Network. Our CEO Network, good people, better business, discovering the best of you. For the next hour, we're going to be talking to a very special guest of mine about his business, about his life, and this real estate stuff. And towards the last segment of the show, we're going to be having a live question and answer session. So if you have those questions coming in, go ahead and type them in, and we'll answer them as we go along. If you're watching us live, give us a little heart because we love the loves. If you're watching us on the replay, hit the little wow emoji because wow, I can't believe you're not watching us live. Find us on ourceonetwork.com. You can also find us at Our CEO Network Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, all those wonderful sites. So with that said, I have an intro for you, sir. He joined Homesmart in 2011. He's the founder of the Homesmart Elite Group, top producing division of Homesmart. In 2014, he sold over 180 homes in North Central Phoenix area. 2015, he was named Homes and Land Magazine's top performing realtor for the 5th consecutive year. In 2018, sold over $70 million, that's $70 million in real estate sales volume. With 25 years experience, he's an associate broker for Homesmart. Please welcome Mr. Bobby Lieb. Hold on.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me as your guest.
We got our live studio audience on my phone.
This is, I understand, long distance because I'm talking to somebody in Mesa, right? So.
Right, yeah. I'm from Mesa. Okay, got to calm the audience down. Mr. Lieb.
Yes, sir.
How you doing today, sir?
We're doing great, man. I got my cardio in, so I'm ready, relaxed, and I'll be able to handle whatever you dish out to me.
No, boy, get ready, huh?
I wasn't warned at all. So
did you bring your swimming trunks? We might need those.
I have my golf shorts on. I'm actually golfing afterwards, so.
Yeah, I did notice that. I mean, I noticed that, okay, so I'm a Facebook troll, and so sometimes I get on people's Facebooks and just kind of meander and kind of see what they're into. And, you know, the first couple things that I saw, classic rock, right? That's kind of a big deal. That was my question. You know, who's your fave, all-time fave?
I grew up in Atlanta, and I used to see Leonard Skinner play all the time. So I got Freebird on my phone. If you call me now, you hear Freebird. So I live and breathe Freebird and Leonard all the way.
Yeah, you can probably listen to that from all the way from Glendale to the Apache Junction and not finish it.
You bet.
No, that's awesome. So another thing was golf, and you know, a lot of pictures about family, and definitely this real estate stuff. And so, as we get in, I think you're here to more talk about the current market status. But I did want to talk about kind of your road to get here. I mean, obviously, kind of with your bio, you have a tremendous track history. But I'm sure it wasn't easy, and I'm sure it wasn't the first thing you were born with. You weren't born with a realtor key in your hand. I'm guessing.
Right.
So from your bio, it said that you were in business with your dad and started a nightclub, jockey club.
Yeah, actually, my background for that, I grew up in Atlanta. And my parents got divorced. My dad moved out here to Phoenix in '64. And my brother and I moved to my mom's Atlanta. So we would come out here a couple times a year. And this is when we would land at Sky Harbor. You would actually land on the tarmac with no terminal. So you can imagine, I'm leaving the humidity of Atlanta, and it's like 160 degrees on the tarmac. So we would come out twice a year, and my goal was always to play college baseball. I played Arizona State my freshman year back for Coach Brock in '74, '75. Coming out of Georgia, I was all state, so I figured all of a sudden now you're sitting on the bench because you're playing with the best school in the country. It's hard for an 18-year-old to do that, so I went back to Atlanta for a year. Then I went to Coastal Carolina in Myrtle Beach, played there a couple of years. And then when I got to college, my dad owned the nightclub over at Highland and 22nd Street called the Jockey Club Nightclub. And out here to work with him there.
Yeah. So where was the leap? Or I guess what was the decision or the situation that said, hey, you know what, this real estate thing, I think I'm going to give it a try?
You know, well, first of all, you got to understand, we had a nightclub for, I came out here in 78. So we had the nightclub for about 8 years, and we had about 2,000 members, and that was my full-time deal. I got after we sold the first club, I actually got my real estate license for about a year or so doing commercial real estate. I had no clue. You know, I was going to these shopping center conventions. And, I knew a lot of people because we had, as I said, 2,000 members at our club, but the commercial thing wasn't really for me. I had no idea what I was doing. So then we opened up a second club at Central Calmac, and 1 year into that, I turned 30, had our first kid, and I go, you know what, I hate this business. And there was a good buddy of mine, Mark Moskowitz, who actually was the #1 realtor in the Valley. He knew me, said, look, everybody in town here, I'd love to be your mentor. And I just felt like, you know what, I knew I didn't want, when you've been on working for yourself and for your family, I knew I couldn't work in the corporate world. And in the real estate thing, residential made sense for me because even though I had no idea what I was doing, I knew a lot of people. And I felt that if I observed people who have been doing real estate prior to that, and I'm going, that person, I won't say what I would say about them. I know I can do it. And it really, it's because I love people. It was just knowing how to put everything together. So Mark was my mentor. Mark really was a big key to me getting to the start there.
So talk a little bit about kind of that first year getting into this business. Was that easy?
It was difficult, and I would tell people, really no matter what business they're in, but especially real estate, you go to real estate school and you think you know everything in the world there is no but real estate, and none of those questions that you pass the test are part of the real world. So I think being thrown in and having people that actually spent time with me, I'd ask questions and observe them. I would go, all the tours. I didn't expect to make really anything that first year. We did have some good sales, but with the sales we got were because I knew people that never would have hired me, but they hired me because of Mark. So our partnership there got me then once we got the listing, I was kind of thrown into the battle. I had to learn how to do everything, but at least we had the listing. You get your first sign out there, then you go, you know what? Once you get a taste, you get that first one. I go, I like this. And I just felt like it was a natural, but I actually stayed with Mark for 5 years. And the whole mentor deal, the first couple of years were definitely a learning experience. But more and more, I started getting people that would hire me for me and not necessarily because of my partnership with Mark. But it took some time until I was really ready to finally go on my own.
And when did that happen?
It took about 5 years to do that. I probably could have done that earlier, but I was kind of content in being in the situation I was in. I was making good money. The first 3 years, again, I was getting listings because of Mark. And in the last 2 years of our partnership, I was actually bringing in the bacon, so to speak. And I'm going, I really don't need him anymore. And that's when I realized so it took me the confidence to, okay, you're ready to go on your own. You can do this on your own. And that's never an easy decision. It was kind of a scary time, but you have to, get out of your comfort zone, which I thought I was, but I thought I was ready. And so I attacked it on my own. Company, but it was definitely, it was scary, but it was the right move at the right time.
Yeah, one of our partners said, if you're ever going to do anything, you just gotta burn the boat. So you sail there, you get there.
You're right, but you've got to have some backing. You have to have, and I just see too many people sometimes, no matter what business they get into, they think they're ready to become a realtor day one, and they usually find out 2 or 3 months down the road, even if their first sale maybe was with their grandparent and they made 20, 30,000, go, this is easy. Well, not everybody's going to be related to you, and you're not able to get everything spoon fed to you. So the mentorship, I can't tell you how important that is. And I teach a class every couple of months, as I told you beforehand. That's my biggest key to, and even veterans, if you're a little stale, but more importantly, if you're brand new, get a mentor 2, 3 years, especially because this could be a very long-term business. So what are 2 years out of your life if you learn and absorb the people who are better than you?
Yeah, and the interesting part, the thing I liked and what resonated with me, because I've been reading a lot about you in these last 24 hours just to get ready for this. The philosophy, the thing that you post is, this is verbatim: be honest, be focused, know your client, know your community. That seems to be kind of the resonating thing with you as a person.
Yeah, because I'm not a good liar. I mean, first of all, I think, again, you don't have that second chance to make an impression on people. So I like to be sincere. I think part of the thing that I was raised by my mom, and who had all those virtues.
Yeah.
And my dad was a business person, but my mom gave me the backing to really treat people right. And I that's one thing. Was a new agent, I'd watch some of these people who I felt were a little arrogant and treated agents mean. Even as a new person, they were kind of being mean to me. I'm thinking, you know what? That just fired me up. I'm going, in a couple of years, I'm gonna be kicking your butt. But I'm still not gonna treat you like crap. But to this day, and I've been actually 28 years doing this. Anybody that's new in our business, I'll sit down with them, talk to them, because I still have a mentor, Ronnie Gilbert, who was with me when I was with Mark, and Ronnie's now 84 years old. Most incredible mentor, because Mark was a great mentor, but Mark's advice a lot of times was beneficial to him financially. But Ronnie was beneficial to me, saying, look, this is what you should do because it's good for you and your family. And you want to have somebody you can respect, that is going to say the right thing and not lead you down a path that's going to benefit them, that really cares about you. And I just feel that guy is genuine to me, and I want to be genuine to other people, going, you've got to work hard, and nothing's going to fall in your lap. And it's hard work. It's a hard work business, and the rewards can be great, but you don't have a salary. Some of those you have bad months, and I think it's being honest with people, treating people right, and it just, it comes natural, because I really do like, and I'm genuine what I do. I love what I do.
That's awesome. And if I may boast for you a little bit, I was reading some of the I was reading some of the homes you'd sold and some of the people you've connected with, and I'm sure this is a short list, but Ricky Henderson from he's a Hall of Famer, beating base stealer. Reggie Sanders from the Diamondbacks,
Right.
Rodney Rogers, Phoenix Suns player, Eric Hill, Arizona Cardinals, Mike Comrie, who I don't watch hockey. I'm sure I'm going to get some.
He's actually, he's married to a big time actress.
Hillary Duff.
I can't think who it is. Yeah, that's the only hockey guy. I grew up in Atlanta. I'm not a hockey fan, but for this particular person, I loved hockey. So
don't tell it to Violet. She's listening. Oh boy! But the biggest one that I saw there was Cindy and John McCain. You'd sold their house 3 times.
Yes. Yeah. It was pretty cool. They hired me back in '96, and it was a house that Cindy grew up in, and they moved to a high rise because they were traveling a lot. So I was really honored that they hired me to sell that. And once 2 different people after that, we got to sell 4. It was a big house, but to me it was the beginning. I really thought I had a ride, because that was probably one of the most famous people in Arizona. But also for North Central where I live, it's a house you see. So that was a career maker right there, and I was really honored that they hired me there. But you learn a lot, when you do, you have to go through people to get to people, and it's not just like you and I are talking. You got to make sure, it takes some time to get that, and people think that happens overnight. Again, I paid my dues to get to that point there too.
No, and it shows. And if I may, again, just to kind of show that I get this sense of humility ever since because I'm an agent there with Homesmart too. Ever since I started there, you get this sense from me that you're just a very humble person. So I kind of want to make sure that people know that. And even to the point where I'm calling you out of the blue, asking you to join me on the Facebook Live. You're like, yeah, sure. Yeah, why not?
You promised me a Subway lunch.
Oh, we weren't supposed to disclose that. That's not for. It's not for everybody.
We gotta make sure it's not enough. There's a 6-foot space in there. We do that. You know what? I'm honored when people want me to be involved. So the fact that you called me, I'm happy to do it.
So I appreciate it. Again, I'm here live with Bobby Lieb from Homesmart. We'll be taking questions. So if you guys have questions, go ahead and put those in the comments section on Facebook, on the feed there, and we'll answer them as we go along. If you stick around to the end, we got some special prizes or giveaways for our valued listeners. And if you make it the full hour, again, find us here on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Our CEO Network, ourceonetwork.com. I want to take a moment, though, to talk about our sponsors, because we love our sponsors, and I'm sure they love us. Workuity. Workuity's always been our home away from home. So Dan Kite, he's the CEO of Workuity, servicing your shared office needs and workspace needs. As we got small businesses coming back in the workforce, he is there to help you, again, with those small office space needs, offering special discounts to our CEO Network members. So if you want to IM me or message me after the show, we can kind of set you up on how to get those discounts. DSODIA, Digital Social Media Management. Gabby Chaida is the one who set us up and set everything up for this meeting. Insight Productions, who set up the video audio quality for this production piece today. Thank you. And keep those hearts coming, those wows, everything you got, because we like and we love the loves. So again, comments, questions, go ahead and put those up. Mr. Lieb, sir. Okay, so the reason why you're here is more to kind of talk about the current status of real estate. The status of real estate's been kind of weird these last couple of months. I don't know if you want to kind of talk about a world pre-corona to a world post-corona, and have you seen the differences? What do you see going on in the market today?
I would say, and I think the whole corona thing started about the first week of March. I mean, it seems like it was 10 years ago, but I think that's kind of about the. Because remember, we just had our Homesmart banquet in Las Vegas on the 3rd of March, come back and boom. Prior to it, the Phoenix market was on fire. We were probably one of the hottest markets in the country. I had personally sold about $14 million in the first 2 months of 2020, both high end, everything was going great. And then, I'm more of a listing agent. I do take buyers out, but I predominantly list homes. And as soon as we got back from our trip from Vegas, and the Vegas casinos nobody was in it. So that's probably should have been the fork telling me what was going on. It was, that first week was very strange. And I'll tell you, part of it was being in the nightclub business and the restaurant business, and especially now 2 months later, to watch all my friends that have had restaurants and bars, that kills me. They had to stop their business 100%. So I watched, some of my good friends that had restaurants for 30 years close their doors now, besides all the retail. But we were lucky; real estate was considered an essential business. So I lost a couple sales in the very, very beginning when the pandemic hit. We had a really big luxury sale that crashed, but we fortunately did close it. It was a $4 million sale about 2 weeks ago, but it crashed the first week because if everybody remembers correctly, I think the stock market fell like 6,000 points in 2 days.
Yeah.
And the buyer bailed, and I'm like, want to go run out in the freeway. It's like, this is going to be a long. But you know what? There's a couple things you can do, and one is you can just say throw in the towel, and the second thing is you just got to work harder. And I think those of us that have survived the 2008 to 2012 short sale foreclosure, which was a nightmare, I think that kind of hardened you to realize that it prepared you to what to do here. So I just started saying, look, there was certainly some sellers that were, should we take our house off the market? And of course, my comment would be no, for a couple of reasons. One is I want the listing, and number two is I just felt like there's still buyers out there. And I would say from March, let's say March 10th to now, I literally have sold 18 homes. There've been a couple of, when people come in with masks and gloves, and I totally respect that, there's still that awkward feeling. Some sell. We as a company, we're really not doing open houses for about a month just because we felt like it was invasive to people, although some people were still doing it. But I think now, if you look forward, the interest rates are great. The one market phase I think is going to be hit the hardest in this is going to be the luxury market. Because kind of like the short sale foreclosure time, people that probably shouldn't have bought a luxury house, those big monster houses, you're going to be, it's going to be hard pressed to try to resell it now. If it's, and obviously if you built a house for yourself and you're financially stable, you're cash, it doesn't matter. But I do think that the luxury market probably will take the biggest hit in the next year or two.
Yeah,
We know people that are big time doctors that are getting 30 or 40% pay cuts. So that's the market I think will get hit the hardest.
yeah, and to stick a pin on that, I did a foreclosure list here in the East Valley. I would say about 2 weeks ago, and interestingly enough, I saw a number of houses, 4, 5, 600,000, that were going into foreclosure. Not the smaller, 100,000 that I think people would anticipate. Which is again, I find interesting and kind of goes along what you're saying. And even in the jumbo loan market, I think I don't know if you had experience your loans, or I mean, you're not a lender, obviously, but and my understanding too is that the jumbo market for loan approval is being hit as well.
It was this one house we just did, Robert. I told you that failed
Yeah.
because when the market crashed. We got it back into escrow, and literally the one bank that had approved the loan the first time closed their doors. Two other lenders said we're not touching this deal unless we get, the borrower puts down 35%. Well, 35% of a $4 million loan is a lot, and it was 75% part of that. So, I think, yeah. So we finally got it done. It was down to the wire. They had to go to a bank, a smaller bank, like in South Dakota, North Dakota, to get the loan, and it got approved. But I don't really think you're going to see anything now. I do think because right now nobody can really get foreclosed on, or at least they're freezing some of the payments. I think 4, 5, 6 months from now is when you're going to start seeing the domino effect. And again, differently than but here's the positive, different than it was back in 2008, 2012, where people were getting 100% finance, where they had a first and second and had no skin in it. Now people have money into their homes. So I don't think we're going to see the downfall like we had then. But obviously, if people lose their jobs and get dinged bad enough, that's going to be the impact. But I think, look, this is a strong, strong area. We're seeing people from California now that are moving out here because you get a lot better value home in the Phoenix area, Mesa area. So we're seeing a lot of Californians coming out here, and they are shocked. We just sold a house a couple of days ago for $1 million, and it was 3,500 square feet, 2 doctors. She just called me from San Francisco. They moved up to the $1.7 million range for 880 square foot house. I mean, I do the math. That's crazy. So when you look at what you can get in the Phoenix market, and the pay can't be that much different in California. I just think that this market, Phoenix, is, we're gonna have little bumps here or there, but overall, it's a strong area. The climate's phenomenal. I'm bullish on the Phoenix market in our business.
Are you concerned we're becoming California light?
I'd love to have it, because they can afford it.
Yeah.
So, and I'll tell you what, I'm also seeing people now, parents are saying to their kids, you know what, we'll buy you a house. It's kind of blackmail. We'll buy you a house if you don't, if you move back to Phoenix, so we don't have to fly to come visit you and the grandkids. And so if people have jobs that they can do, network and work out, local market here and still get done in California, I'm seeing a lot of that. So just the market, I'm seeing. After I get done with you, Dad, I've got 4 or 5 showings. So it's strong. It's picking up. Just weird. Obviously it's still very uncomfortable. You still look at the restaurants. You're seeing a little more traffic on the street.
Yeah.
But I think it's a great market, great business to be in.
Yeah, and in previous conferences and what I've seen you in some of these classrooms, you've commented that the 300 and below market is kind of the bread and butter of what Phoenix is. Do you want to kind of expand on that a little bit too?
I actually think it's more than that now. I would say I would even use 500 kind of as a barometer now. I think if you have a house that's 300,000 and under and it's decent, it's going to be gone as soon as the ink hits on the MLS. I mean, we listed a patio home yesterday for 360, and we sold it in an hour. I was shocked, but that market is just such a good price range. The flippers are kind of gone. I mean, they can't. There's really not a big market for them right now. But I think if you look at $500,000, and especially with the interest rates being as low as they are, you can get more for your buck right now. I think the 500 and under is just a strong, strong market, and it's going to continue to be that way.
Yeah, and so in that market segment, if you were a buyer right now coming into the Phoenix market, looking at an average priced home, any advice or anything you would kind of give them or direct them to do um, as a buyer in this market?
First thing I would always tell people is get pre-qualified. I mean, because everybody always says I can afford this. I think, and really establish a relationship with an agent. Depending on, like, in all due respect to Mesa, I think people would be an idiot to hire me because I don't even know where Mesa is. If I have to get on 2 freeways, that's too far for me. So I
Oh
think
boy.
yeah, but I think if you have a particular area, and obviously, one thing that's interesting in California, people say, or even I think you said your fiance is from Chicago. When you start, notice I said fiance this time.
Yeah, we got it right. You got some points there.
But you know what? But there you go an hour, in traffic, and you can maybe for 5 miles. Here we don't really have traffic, and I think you can live within 20 minutes of where you work, and it's just you don't have the issues that you have back there where you're wasting 2 hours a day in traffic. So I think you can be more productive. And again, it's just a really I just feel more and more people are realizing what a strong market we have here. But I think for a buyer standpoint, is pick the one or two best agents or in that area that you want to buy. And if you want to buy in a particular area, use a specialist in that area. As I said, I would not be a good person for Mesa. In my area, North Central, Biltmore, Paradise Valley, that's where I'm good at. But so because I know the area, I know the values, and sometimes people think, well, my first cousin, I'm going to get a discount out of them, or I'm going to hire somebody off the internet. They don't know the market, and I think that's a big mistake people make. Is sometimes they cut corners to save money, but they're hiring an agent who does not know the area or anything about the house, and I think that's where they save some money on fees, but it comes back and bites them to the end because they don't know the area and they're coming to the point. You want to be able to trust the agent, like you said earlier about myself. I'm going to be honest with people. If I say this is not, tell me what you do, where you want to live, where you're going to work, and I'm not going to have you. And if I feel this is not the right house for you after what you told me, I'm going to be honest with you. And you may look at me going, well, you're going to lose the sale, but if we're going to do this long term, I'm just telling you this is not the area. And I think you've got to hire somebody that is going to be honest with you and not going to say, yeah, buy it because it comes down to commission dollars, but you trust them because they know the area that you want to buy in. They know the neighborhood, they know the kids, they know the churches, the stores, and to me, it's very, very important. Interview the agent, and look at their bio so you're comfortable that you hired the right person.
And that leads us to our next segment, but we're going to take a small break. We're going to talk a little bit more about agents because these last couple of weeks we've been getting questions about, is it a good time to be a real estate agent? Because people are looking at options. But before we get into that, we want to share a little video for one of our sponsors.
I'm a perfectionist that understands that there's no such thing as perfection. I was, as an entrepreneur, sitting alone in an office. I was the owner or the managing partner, but who do I talk to? How do I find out that other people are really in the same boat? Let me create what I wanted because that's what others are apparently going to want to. When you're doing business, it has to have a purpose. One of those purposes has to be fulfillment. How is what I'm doing affecting people? Here we are, a networking group where everybody wants to get together. It's why we network. We want to learn more. We want to make connections. Hi, my name's Dan Kite, and I'm the CEO of Workuity. And this is our CEO Network.
Okay, well, I hope people heard that video. Did you hear that video, Bob?
I did not.
Yeah, it seems like we were having some technical difficulties, but hey, we go along with what we do along with. So. If you caught that, that was Dan Kite from Workuity, again, offering discounts on shared office spaces now that we're back in the workforce. Please IM us or instant message us here on our CEO Network and get special rates because you are in our CEO Network member. So back here again with Mr. Bobby Lieb from Homesmart. Thank you again for coming out to us because we like to be informed. So we were talking a little bit about agents and selecting the right agent. So we have people who are, impacted by the coronavirus and exploring different options as far as careers go, and a number of calls asking about what it takes and if you would suggest being a real estate agent now. What are your thoughts?
Well, obviously I'm prejudiced, so I'm gonna say yeah. And I would tell you what, in any business, you're going to have peaks and valleys. And truthfully, prior to this pandemic, it was too easy to be a realtor. Everybody was getting out of real estate school. And again, as I said, I played baseball in college. And, people think, hey, I don't need to be specific field. I'm going to be a realtor. And it was easy for people. Prior to the last 2-3 months, I mean, I'm seeing people that I'm working with as the listing agent, their buyer's agent. They would say the wrong things. They had no idea what they were doing. And it's just because it was easy. And people would hire them, as I said, because of family members. So I'm sad that what we're going through right now, but it kind of equalized and puts things back in perspective. You've got to earn your money. Nothing's handed to you. And I think now people realize that they have to work a little bit harder, and credibility enters into the picture here. So I think it's a phenomenal business. And I've now been doing this, as I said, 28 years. And if you take it further, that I got a license a few years before I was doing commercial real estate. This is a business, if you work hard, you can be in it for as long as you want to be in it. But you got to work it, and you cannot take it for granted. And I love what I do. I mean, when my kids were little, we would take vacations. I coached my kids in sports, and both, I think between the two kids, we're probably playing 200 games a year that I was part of. I probably should have been arrested for playing that many games and coaching that many. But it gives you freedom of being able to do what you want and set your own hours. But you got to work it. And you cannot work. It's not a 9-to-5 deal. I'm predominantly a listing agent. So as a listing agent, you're going to be available 7 days a week. I mean, people are going to call you at all times of the day, especially if it's a seller. They may not be happy with what you're doing. They're asking you questions. And I know some people hide. They don't want to return the phone call. I find that I always answer my phone, which people are kind of shocked about, good or bad. You called me. I didn't know who you were. And I took the call, and I'm glad I did. But I just think people, it's something that you've got to, again, if you're a listing agent, knowing that your people's lives are kind of, they're on your shoulders, that they want to sell their house and move on to something else. It's pressure, but I love it. I love what I do. I'm confident what I do, but that I go back to because I had a good mentor. I could not have done what I'm doing now, just getting out of real estate school and doing and taking on the burden and the pressure if I wasn't prepared to do and was thrown into the field for 2 or 3 year training. So you have to be trained. You get the mentor. I think it's a business you can stay in for as long as you want to.
Yeah, and you did mention it was a 7-day-a-week job, and from my own personal experience, I've experienced that too. I mean, you get calls like you said until sometimes 11 o'clock at night, just because of the uncertainty. So your family, I mean, is there things that you can suggest to some of these agents how they can support their family, or what they can do to kind of, if they've taken on this role as a real estate agent, is there anything they can do to prep their family for the enormous amount of work it takes to get there, to get to the level you're at?
I don't think I was ready. I think it's one of those on-the-job training deals that you learn.
Yeah.
I love being busy. So we're not like the first week after the pandemic, and I didn't have my routine. I'm going to, thank God I have a full gym at my house, but my routine was changed. It was weird. So I think, not everybody wants to work 7 days a week, and not everybody wants to work 15, but the successful agents do. I don't have a team. I have one assistant, and now my wife is actually doing my social media because I do not even know how to get on social media, or I don't even know my passwords. But I never want to be part of a team. I just felt like because truthfully, nobody is going to work the hours, work as hard as me. I had a partner before, and I felt like I was doing their work and my work, and it just wasn't what I wanted to do. But I don't think if you want to be successful, and I mean successful where you're gonna make good money, you're gonna have to work a lot of hours. And I when I was on vacations, as sick as it sounds, if my phone wasn't ringing, I was nervous because people didn't want maybe to list their houses, or so I just prepared them and said, guys, just know that I'm gonna be on the phone a lot, but I'll whatever we're gonna do, we're gonna do. If we're going to Disneyland, I promise you. But it's they've accepted, I've accepted it, and now the kids are still here in town. But if you want to be, as I said, if you want to make this a long-term career, you're always going to be at your client's mercy, and that's just thank God they're still calling me, 30 years later.
Yeah, I think Violet's still having a hard time when we working all the time too. So she's always looking over and seeing who's calling or texting me at 10 o'clock at night. So I don't blame her though.
I know there's suspicion sometimes, but you know what? It's especially if you've had good showings at the people's houses, and they think it's it's always a good call. So it's sometimes why aren't we getting showings? What are you doing differently? But here's what I find, man. I find that when you take their call, it may not always be pleasant, but you diffuse the anger that they may have if you don't return the call, and you're telling them everything that you're doing and saying, look, I'm not hiding from you. You can call me 10 times a day. I'm going to answer the phone 10 times a day. I've even got your name on my voicemail. And even knowing it's you, I'm still answering your phone. So just know that you're going to be mad at me. That's fine. But I'm doing everything. One thing I would tell an agent too, don't make promises that you can't keep. When I tell a client, here's what I'm going to do for you,
Yeah.
I do all those things. I don't forget one of them out just to make them happy and say, I'm going to do a drone in your house, and don't do a drone. Because guess what? They're going to remember that. So just promise what you're going to do. And if you're doing everything you say you're going to do, your broker will back you. And you know that it's not my fault that it's not selling. Sometimes it's the price or the market or the location and the condition. But I tell them that in the beginning. Here's what you need to do to get your house to sell, and here's the price it needs to be. So there's always something there, but the communication cannot stop. You got to take the good with the bad. Talk to them.
Yeah, and you did mention Kathy. So you didn't say you're part of a team, but Kathy has been a prominent piece in basically your work, the work that you do. And do you want to? Are you able to, or can you talk about Kathy a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, so the funny thing is when I left Mark Moskowitz, I worked. I knew that it was time to go on my own, and I'm not a paperwork person, so I knew I could sell. Kathy actually was the office manager for Realty Executives, which is where I started, and I figured if she could deal with 100 idiots, she can deal with one. And after she'd come work with me, and she said, yeah. So it's phenomenal. I mean, it really is. Here's what people have to understand when you have an assistant, because I watched people that were very successful, but they always had a different assistant every other week because they weren't paying them. And I always felt like, you know what, you got to pay somebody. You want to have a life, and that's part of why I get to go on my vacations, because I had somebody I could trust, that I knew that would allow me to be able to have fun with my family for, a week at a time, because I never went longer than a week vacation. But she has been absolutely amazing. It's really having a partner without calling it a partner, but it's a lot of work, because you got to look at. I mean, I'm one person. Last year, I listed 140 homes and sold 109. One person, she's handling all those escrows, all those listings. One person. So the good news is she doesn't sleep any more than I do. She works crazy hours, and I'm very fortunate that she's there. But I could not have been successful. It's probably going to cost me more money now if she's listening. got to have a great assistant. You got to pay them because that allows you to be able to have some time off. And I just found out for me, I didn't need a partner. I didn't need a partner in the area. I sell in. I'm giving a partner. Why would I want to give a partner 50% of what I do if I'm bringing in 80% of the income? It just didn't make sense. So I'd rather give Kathy a good percentage, and it's been great. She's been with me for 20 years, which is absolutely mind-boggling. People are shocked that anybody could put up with me for 20 years. My wife's 33 years, but my wife is actually my social media person. So that's also interesting and dynamic to that. So
Yeah.
I have great people that surround me. I am not a social media. I mean, I definitely love it. I think it's a great forum. I do know how to use Facebook, but some of the other parts of that, I'm not real strong in. So I surround myself with people who are making up for the weaknesses that I have. And the social media links and all that, and Instagram are not something I'm great at, but they help me get to that point where it looks like I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, and I think as an agent, and if you have a good set of reoccurring business, I think the toughest pill to swallow is hiring somebody or hiring staff or partnering up with somebody. Because again, like you had said, it's hard to kind of give up that business and have somebody else take care of it, what is essentially your baby, you know.
Robert, it's not if you have equal partners. I've never, as long as I've been doing this, I've seen so many partnerships dissolve because they all start off saying we're going to be equal, and one ends up doing 60-70% of the work, and yet they're getting paid equally, and they end up fighting, divorcing as a business partner because they're not carrying the same workload. I just don't want to. I know nobody's going to be able to keep up with my hours and craziness, so it wasn't healthy for me. But I also see some very successful partnerships that do work. So I mean, that's just not for me.
And then I guess for the agents that are listening right now, is social media one of those platforms? I mean, you said that you're not really on it, that you need assistance, but is it one of those avenues that you would suggest people doing?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's funny now that I mean, I do use Facebook a lot. Like I'll post a lot of things on Facebook. Believe it or not, I do know how to do that. I think that for me, it's a way, it's free, you know, so why wouldn't you use like Facebook, Instagram? It keeps you relevant. It lets people know, which sometimes there's obviously silly stuff on the Instagram.
All the time.
So and my big advice to people, and this is my personal deal, anybody that starts to be political on Facebook, I take them off as a friend because I don't think that's the forum to do it. I'm thrilled you believe in what you believe in, but when you're putting it right there in black and white, that's just for me. I draw the lines. I don't think that's the forum to do it. I use it as kind of a feel good deal, saying, hey, here's my family, here's the houses I'm selling. I want to thank, Robert Morales for doing a cross sale. We haven't done one together yet. I want to thank the agent that worked with me. I make it a feel good, but to sit here and be holier than thou and say, this is where the world should be, that's just, I can't deal with that. That's just not my part of this. But I do think social media is a great marketing tool, very, very inexpensive because you still pay a little bit if you want to move up the ladder there. But I think it's because you again, how are you going to be able to reach people that you don't always stay in contact with? Because you move on, your kids grow up, you're not in the same school anymore, you're not coaching them. So to me, the social media is a great way, inexpensive way to keep in contact with people that you think may care about you, but at least they're seeing what you're doing. And you'd be surprised sometimes. I get a call every couple of years, hey, I saw you sold a house in my neighborhood. Sometimes I forget who they are, Robert. I have to like, hey, who is this person? Oh yeah, I used to coach your kid, So but that's what people got to understand when you're marketing, whether it be social media or postcards, you may not get the rewards today, but you've got to be consistent. Consistent is probably the key word to keep marketing yourself. And then all of a sudden, boom, it hits and you've done it. But when you stop after 2 or 3 months and say, okay, nobody's called me in 2 or 3 months, then people like me that do it for 12 months are going to kick your butt. So you've got to spend a little bit of money every month, but you have to be consistent. You cannot stop. And that's probably another thing I would tell people, the agents.
Well, and talking about marketing, that's a good segue there, sir. Want to again highlight our sponsors. We're Cutie, Dan Kite. If you have shared office needs, he's the man to talk to. IM us for questions relating to special rates for shared office space at We're Cutie. DSODIA, digital social media. Gabby Chaidez, give her a call if you need help managing your social media. Like Bobby, he's hired his person, but if you need help, Gabby is there. Inside Productions, thank you for your audio video quality today. And Great American Title. Great American Title has been a long time supporter of us as well as my personal business. So thank you, Great American Title. Personal plug, Maria Brandenburg. She is awesome. I love her to death. So, and if is there something that you want to promote? I know you have a nonprofit or at least a foundation through Homesmart. I don't know if you want to give Homesmart a plug to, give kind of your perspective on whether an agent should go with Homesmart, and then talk a little bit about your foundation, because I think that tends to be very personal to you.
Yeah, I mean, the company itself, I mean, I'm very happy where I'm at. I don't want to try to sell somebody. I was at Realty Executives. I came from a 100% company, Realty Executives, and actually the Realty Executives was the first 100% company in the country, meaning that agents make 100% and you pay a little bit towards for your for marketing for the company. HomeSmart, Matt Whittle started to do the same thing, and I just felt like I didn't need to pay a company, and there's some great companies out there, 20% to market myself, what I'm gonna do me. So that's why I love it. So about 5-6 years ago, and we at the time when I first came to HomeSmart, we had, and this really goes for any company, to be honest with you, not just HomeSmart, but I think 5-6 years ago, we probably had about maybe 2,000 agents in our company. Now we have 7,000 locally and 18,000 worldwide. So we had an agent that had, his wife actually got carjacked in the driveway.
Yeah.
And she was unconscious for a month. And we're always, our company, like all companies, are always doing other things for other people. And so I asked one of our chief people at our company, do we have a fund to help this agent? And they go, no. And really all this guy wanted at the time was his wife was in the hospital for a month. He said, Bobby, I'm tired of eating McDonald's, for 4 straight weeks, which I grew up on McDonald's. But so we basically bought him some meals. And so what it did tell me, we have all these people in our company. And again, anybody that's got a large company, we decided that we were going to start a charity called We Care for HomeSmart Agents. Every year we do a fundraiser where our sponsors, like the sponsors that you have, we would have a meeting, get about 200-300 people at our monthly meeting. Our sponsors would donate prizes, and then the agents would bid on them or do a raffle. Would donate money, and then our owner would match the funds. And what's cool is the last 5 years we raised $10,000 at each meeting. Our owner matches for $20,000. So we about 3 or 4 months ago, we saw we had 50. We paid for funerals. We paid for not, we can't do it for everybody, but we paid for people's dues. We paid for flowers. We paid for meals, just helping families for a short period of time, maid service. But we paid probably about $30,000-$40,000 out. So we noticed about 2 months ago with this pandemic going on that we had about 50 grand in our kitty, so to speak. So the other person that was involved in this charity and I said, look, we have we know all the restaurants were suffering. We had Miracle Mile, who was one of our HomeSmart partners that brings food in for our lunches. And of course we pay them, but they do a great job. Subway, one of our my good buddies owns 49 Subways, and they were obviously having a tough time with the pandemic. And then Bobby Q's was a good friend of my dad who used to own McGee's. So what we did is we took out of that money we had, we gave each one of these restaurants between $8,000 and $10,000. And what they did is they put together a menu that our agents could call them and pick up food. So it gave
that's really good
companies 8 or 10 grand in the crappy part of when the pandemic first started, and our agents that were having a tough time got to eat free meals. We served about 600 or 700 meals. So all 3 of those restaurants had helped them in the downtime. So to me, it was pretty cool that we could do. Now I see the couple that's married on TV doing commercials. We're one of our partners, and they're doing that. So to me, that's whatever who you're with, this is a great time to help the restaurant business, help your own employees. I saw one of the shopping centers over on Town and Country Shopping Center in Camelback in 22nd. The guy that owns the shopping center, I think it's Red Development, they actually are letting their employees, they're paying for the meals so they can eat at restaurants at their shopping center. So there's so many ways to help people right now, and that's kind of it's kind of cool that we have this charity that's been able to help with everybody.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's really good, and it feels good to give back. And again, that goes back to your philosophy about knowing your community and identifying the need of not just Homesmart agents, but I know that's your focus, but just people in general.
Right.
So that's an awesome thing that you're doing. So if somebody wanted to donate to there and they weren't an agent, because I know we talked a little bit before
Right.
about that being specific for agents, but somebody wanted to donate some money or way or towards this foundation, how could they do that?
They can just call me at 602-376-1341, and I'll give them our 501c and give them the information on that. So that'd be awesome. Yeah, we had a fundraiser plan for February. I'm sorry, for April, but that was our first month right after the pandemic, so we had to cancel that. So probably going to do another one in a few months from now. But we make it fun. There's some pretty cool. Way back when, one of our title companies had gave away like 4 tickets. They had a party tent, and again, it was just kind of cool to see the sponsors get involved, because we appreciate, as you do with your show, the sponsors are the reason why we do what we do.
And why we're successful. So yeah, I appreciate that. We did have a couple of questions come in.
Sure.
Looks like Gabby had one. What advice would you suggest for people who are hesitant about buying and selling right now?
You're passing up a good opportunity. I would say that there's a reason why I mentioned earlier that this condo we sold it one day. There's such a great value out there. I know it's hard sometimes for people when they see a home that just got listed, but if it feels good and it's priced right now, I've almost said probably sold 45 homes this year, and we're not even halfway through the year. The market is strong. The interest rates. It's interesting. We had somebody that closed on a house recently, and their interest rate was like over 4 when they first got the house, going to buy it. And when they closed out, it ended up being 3. It saved them $200 or $300 a month. You may not see the interest rates this low again. So I think it's, if you're comfortable with it and you're comfortable with your job, this market is just a strong, strong market, and it's only going to get better. And you got a lot of new homes being built now, but I just said I'm bullish on it. I'm seeing the demand. I'm seeing the showings, and we got over that first 2 weeks of uncomfortableness. There's still a little bit, but now people realize, I wish I would have bought 2-3 weeks ago, because a home that they really liked went bye-bye. And I think now they're realizing, hey, as soon as something pops up, call me right away, and we do. So I totally think it's the right time to do it. I didn't think that first week of the pandemic was, because people were feeling uncomfortable, but I think it's now. I'm looking today, the stock market went up a little bit more today. It's going to take some time. It's not going to happen overnight, but we're a lot better off than we were 4 or 5 weeks ago.
Yeah, and I guess as a sub question to that, do you foresee prices of homes going down? Because right now I'm still getting comments that prices of houses are too high. People are going to wait to see if the prices go down. Does price outweigh interest rate, or is there any relation to that?
Will you stop asking me these difficult questions?
Boy.
I think I said earlier, if a home is priced right in the $500,000 to $600,000, I'm still seeing homes. I told you that one person in California, we just sold their $1 million house. I would say, if you know the area you're buying in and you're watching, it's not going to go down. The luxury, yes, the $2, $3, $4, $5 million homes. I know we all see in the paper, somebody just closed a $5 million home. There's probably 20 more like that. They're just sitting there. But I think the homes of $500,000 to $600,000, even a little bit further up, depending on what your price range is, I would say don't wait, because you're going to kick yourself in the butt saying, I wish I would have done it. As long as you can afford it and you know that you're going to have steady income, I'm bullish. I just think it's just a strong place to live. The weather's phenomenal. We're seeing a lot of people from California moving here. I haven't seen, typically the New Yorkers tend to go more towards the East Coast, but I'm finding that people from California, my client that just sold a $1 million house, 3,400 square feet, is buying a 800 square foot house for $1.7 million. Where do you think that $1.7 million buyer, when they come to Phoenix, go, oh my God, I can get a house 6,000 square feet. So you just get in the climate. I get it. You know, we have 2 or 3 months of miserable weather. That's why we go to California. But this is a great place to live, and I think it'd be foolish to wait, because it's not going to get any better. There's going to be some prices dropping maybe on certain deals, but if to me, the other thing I would tell sellers is price your home right, because if you go start a crazy number and you're sitting there with your home on the market for 4 or 5 months, 150 days, you've lost any edge you had because you priced it way too high. So there again, like I said earlier, trust your realtor. Don't. I know sometimes Zillow, some of these internet sites, worth twice what it's worth. I always look at what Zillow says, and I respect them, but I don't believe them. I believe what I know, and they may say a home is worth $800,000. I'm going, there's no way that home is worth $800,000. It's worth $6. But I know the tricky part is when I go to a listing point, that seller's going to think it's worth $8. So I may say, let's try it, but don't be afraid to drop it. But the worst thing you could do is keep your home at too high of a number, and then when you finally hit reality, you've been for 4 or 5 months, and you've lost that edge, and you probably cost yourself $50,000-$60,000 by being greedy.
And that sounds awesome. So we're coming towards the end of our show today, and I want to again appreciate your time and thank you tremendously for just, in almost respects, last minute saying yes to coming on.
Tell your number now. If you call me again, I'll still answer. So.
Oh boy. So Robert Morales here with our CEO Network. Again, find us here on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. We're here to help you with your marketing needs and share your story like you hear with Mr. Lieb. You get the last word, sir. Anything that, any word of advice, anything that you can give our audience or anybody listening?
I don't know.
Boy.
It seems
is that another loaded question?
No. It's kind of like, what's the show with Tom Selleck that we always watch? They're sitting around the dinner table and they're all, I just look, I love what I do, man. If you want to be a realtor, if you think about being a realtor, go for it. I just think it's a great market. If you're looking, to buy a home in the area here, and I said earlier, is hire somebody who knows the area you're buying into. But I just think the Phoenix, it's never going to be perfect. I mean, we're going to have like a 2008 foreclosure short sale. We're going to have, this is, probably as bad as we'll see. There's going to be something else 6 or 7 years from now. So, but just be smart, be smart in whether you're buying a house, be smart in what you're doing. But I think as an agent, and you said earlier, be honest with your clients. And this is a long-term business. I know some people sometimes will sell themselves short and tell their clients what they want to hear, and ends up biting them in the butt. So just honesty to me works, and especially if you're doing this for a long time.
Sounds good, sir. Again, thank you, Mr. Lieb. Very humble person. Again, I must say, being able to call you on your personal cell phone, still using AOL, which is amazing. I gotta throw that out.
I am AOL, and I'm proud of it.
I gotta call you out on that one. But again, thank you, sir. We will catch you next time. Thank you, everybody.
Good luck in your upcoming marriage.
Oh, thank you.
All right, man. See you, buddy.
See you, bye.